The Canada 150 Mosaic project was launched in 2015 to celebrate our 150th birthday this year. And you've probably seen one or more of these murals in your travels, maybe even in your town or city. The goal is to complete 150 murals illustrating Canada's cultural and geographical diversity. Now, the purpose of the project is to create a national mural including all the provinces and territories and 80,000 paintings, 150 individual murals, and when all united, they will become one gigantic mural mosaic. The man behind the project is Alberta artist Lewis Lavoie. Lewis, welcome to 100 Huntley Street.
Thanks, Greg. Glad to be here.
Now, the murals, they're going to form a train railway. Tell me why you picked that project and what was the idea behind that?
Well, you know, we wanted to make a giant painting for Canada. And we thought, when it's somebody's birthday and you're a little kid, you make a painting for them and you give them a painting. So we thought, could we get a bunch of Canadians, like thousands of Canadians together, to paint one big giant picture? And what would that look like? So we thought of a train car because Canada was actually founded on the railroad. They thought if we build a railroad across Canada, we can unite the country that way.
Well, especially because Canada's such a big country.
It's enormous. And British Columbia was actually thinking of siding with the United States at this time. So by building a railroad, they would unite it. They would sign British Columbia up, and we'd have the Pacific coast. That way we can still do trade to China, because that was always our intent, was to somehow do trade with China for some reason. So the train it's monumental. I mean, it was the biggest undertaking Canada ever took in order to unite Canada. So we thought by doing a train, we can actually have every town, city design their own train car. Kind of like a parade float, because when it's a celebration, you want to have a parade. And so then when they would finish their train car, we could connect it to the last train car. And this is how we can it's like little chains being all connected together, making an enormous mural that everyone can kind of share and enjoy in.
And this one's just down the street here in Burlington. In fact, I went out the other day. I was riding around and looked at it, and my wife has participated. In fact, I did one square. I don't know if you put it in there or not. But anyway, you probably replaced it. That's okay. But why take on such a huge project? Because, I mean, that is amazing when you think of all the work, the planning that has to go into this.
You know, if I would have known how big the planning was, I don't know if I would have done it. But when in the time, we were like all excited, dreaming, full of ideas of making this grandiose art project and inviting as many people into it. It's been a lot of fun. I mean, that's all I can say.
And to involve the community like you have, and it's amazing how many, and such excitement. I mean, you were like kind of a star out there when you showed up in these little towns and big towns too.
Well, a lot of towns that have decided to take on one of these murals, they don't have a lot of big projects going on sometimes. So to invite the whole community out, everybody paints a little tile, and then we unveil it, and we have just nobody's seen the mural when until it's unveiled, and then you get the big wow, like, oh my gosh, look at how this thing came together.
And have you been pleased with the participation? Because, I mean, you could have this great idea, nobody shows up, or there's not the funding, the thing kind of crashes. So you must have been pleased when you saw so much excitement, and I guess it's like any big project, momentum starts to build.
Well, the biggest part of this project is I always believe that to paint, to do art, to do anything creative, there's a side of us that's inspired. And like the word inspiration actually means to be in spirit. And so I just believe that this project, if it was going to happen, there would have to be some divine intervention. Like somehow the hand of God would have to be on this project, or it's not going to happen. And so, I mean, there was a lot of prayer, a lot of, I wanted to have this inclusiveness. Like, how can you have a project that isn't going to offend people, that could just have everyone just come out and have fun, say whatever you want? every tile that gets painted, we put in there. So your tile did get put in
It
there.
did, okay.
You have to find it. I can't remember what you painted.
I think it was a cross, a little red in there. But no, I think the fact that, you know, Canada is such a diverse nation, and you would have people from, you know, all backgrounds, ethnic groups, even different religions coming out. And I mean, did you see the joy of people when they were coming together and participating in this?
Absolutely. You know, there's a real you know, trepidation of people approaching these projects. They don't paint. They're a little bit nervous. They're thinking, well, I'm not an artist. And once they're into it, once they're sitting there painting and they get into that little zone, you could just see them just really enjoying it. I mean, we have politicians, we have athletes, a lot of NHL, like hockey players paint tiles and that. Oh, cool. And we get them just to paint their numbers or something. And you can see them. They're going, well, I'm not much of an artist, these big, you know, hockey players. And they start painting. And next thing you know, they're into it. They're actually, and they're taking a little selfie of them holding it, and they're tweeting about it. Cool. So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, art is subjective. And if people can enjoy it, it's one of those fun, free things anybody can do. It doesn't cost you anything to do.
And you can go online, by the way, if you want to see the ones that have been done. And I mean, right from the far north to the east to the west, all over Canada. Now, you mentioned your faith. We're going to talk about that in a moment. And a mural that you did called The King of Kings that really put Lewis's faith and his artistic ability together. And we're going to talk about that when we return with more of 100 Huntley Street.